Hey everyone, it's Joy here for Honeybee Stamps. Today I created a card using the Wildflowers and Peony Lovely Layers die sets together to make a beautiful card. Okay, so I'm starting with the die cut peony flowers, and I die cut them from white. And we're just going to do some ink blending. We'll add some detail with a different color than this yellow, and it turned out really, really pretty. So I am using obviously a yellow ink and just quickly blending. I'm kind of concentrating most of the ink on the outside, like the darker, and then a little bit lighter on the inside. So I have the big flower, and then I have one of the little buds, and we're going to be doing those the same colors. Now I'm bringing in an orange and just blending on the edges, which makes this have a lot of detail, and it is super, super pretty. If I get a little too much orange, then I just come back in with the yellow and go over the whole thing just briefly, like I'm gonna do here, and it kind of smooths out those edges. But I'm not trying to be super neat about it. I am just adding the color. These are Simon Says Stamps Pawsitively Saturated Inks in Sunbeam and Grapefruit. And then for the wildflowers, I will be using blush and watermelon and the grapefruit, and then sprout and fairway for the greenery. But isn't that so, so pretty? So now when you are doing these lovely layers of flowers, it really is easy to put together. You're just going to start with like your biggest image, and then your next big, and then your next big, all the way down to the small, and you will see how they line up because some of the edges just kind of match together. And it really, Honeybee Stamps is so fantastic on making it easy to put these layered flowers together. So here's the little bud. Now there's a little tiny sliver of a piece that was supposed to be green, and I end up fixing that a little bit later, but I was on the roll for coloring things with the yellow. Here's the greenery from that set that I used the fairway on. And then we can come in with the wildflowers. So I die cut one of each wildflower, and I'm just going to use sprout for this. This is a little bit of a darker green. And then we have the watermelon, the blush, and the grapefruit that we're going to be using. And these wildflowers are really simple. There's really only a couple layers for most of them. I think there's 3 plus the little centers, and then one of them is just a couple layers. So super simple to put together. So I'm just pulling all my little white pieces out. I just keep them in a little container so I don't lose them. So on these flowers, I am concentrating the ink at the bottom to add a little bit of a shadow, and then lightly blending upwards to the rest of that, to the tip of the flower. And then this one has 3 pieces, and then you have a couple centers. And I'm just going to lay all of those out, kind of figuring out what I want green, what do I want colored. So let's add this beautiful color. I'm going to start in the center and then just lightly go out. This is the grapefruit. So you have those 3 pieces for the flower, and then you have 2 pieces for the center. And I'm going to do one of those pieces in the watermelon and then one of them in green. Then for this is going to be yellow and then a green little center. And you'll see how all of these go together, and it really is super simple to put together. And I love using both of these lovely layers to make a big kind of bouquet of flowers. So here's one of the wildflowers. You're going to lay down that largest piece onto the back. Then this little piece actually lines up right at the top, and you can match it super easy. And then this little piece goes to the bottom of that second piece that we added on. Then the center lines right up, like it fits like a puzzle, which is really, really nice. And then I realized I had the wrong little center piece. So I grabbed that and colored that green, and then I can just pop that right into place. Like it really is that simple to put these together. And this one's even more simple because you're just layering these right on top. So a little bit of that liquid glue, and you can slide this around. I like using liquid glue for that because you can really get these right into place, and you have a little bit of wiggle room. Finish off with that last little bud, and then we can finish the final flower. This is super simple. You just add your flower petals, and then you have the 2 center pieces, and you can see how they line up. It's probably a little hard to see on camera, but this little ring piece here lines up exactly how it's supposed to right in the center. You can see like a little etched die mark where that would go. Then here's the big flower. This is really super simple. Like I said, you're going to start with the largest piece in the back, and then you're just going to go with your next largest all the way down to the smallest. And you will see they line up right kind of at the top. You will always find petals that line up with each other, and that's how you know that that's the place where it goes. But as you can see how beautiful this flower looks, and as it just comes together and all of these layers, and then we have that different ink blending between the yellow and the orange, just really, really makes this flower kind of pop and stand out. Okay, one last little petal. It goes right there. And then we can do the little bud. So in my die set, I'm actually missing the long green stem that you're supposed to have for this. So I'm just adhering it like it would naturally go, and then I just adhered it to some leaves, and it'll look like it's just fine. But there is a long stemmed piece for this that you will attach everything to. This is when I realized, wait a minute, this is supposed to be green. So I will green that up, but that adheres to the bottom of that little bud. Okay, this is the Rainbow A2 pierced cover plate. I'm using some light gray cardstock and taping that in place and putting that through my die cut machine. So we're just gonna have a bunch of pierced little rainbows. Now, my inspiration for this card was actually the sentiment from the Look for the Rainbow stamp set. And it says, "You make me happy when skies are gray." So I thought I'm gonna bring in this gray cardstock with these really bright, beautiful flowers that we can build on this. And I just love that rainbow pierced die. I think it's so, so pretty. So that's my inspiration for my color combo and bringing in that gray, which I'm really glad I did, because as you can see, these flowers just really pop off this background. Now I'm trimming some of these down. I'm actually trimming off some of the leaves, but I will stick in some of these leaves some places to add just a little bit more greenery. I'm just trying to figure out my layout. I'm actually doing my layout a little different than I usually do, which actually was kind of fun for me, because I tend to kind of set my flowers at the bottom and work my way up, but I just thought I'm just going to put this big yellow flower right in the center and then work my way out and add the sentiments in and around it. And I am really happy that I changed that around. So it was kind of nice to get out of my comfort zone and what I always do. I'm trying to look at my projects a little bit differently, because I feel like sometimes you just kind of get in this motion of creating the same layout all the time. So it was nice to do something different. So obviously some of these images are popped up with foam tape. Some of them are just glued directly to the background, but I love that look because it just makes it feel much more interesting than everything being flat. Now let's stamp the sentiments on that same color gray cardstock. This sentiment will stamp as one, but die cuts separately, which is really genius. And I was trying to line it up, but it made no sense. So again, it says, "You make me happy when skies are gray." I'm going to prep that with my anti-static powder tool, use Honeybee Stamps clear ink and some white embossing powder. Then I will heat that with my heat tool until it's melted. And then I can use the coordinating dies to die cut this out. So your die is going to look like it die cuts out separately, even though the sentiment is stamped together, but it's perfect. So I adhered this to a A2 size white background. I trimmed down that gray background just a little bit before I applied the flowers. So I have some foam tape and liquid glue. So foam tape on one edge, and then liquid glue that's attached to the flower, because that flower is popped up with foam tape. So my other edge of my sentiment needs foam tape. So the same thing here. It needs a little bit of foam tape on one edge and liquid glue on the other. Then I am using, these are the Back to Basics gem stickers, and I'm just using the little white ones to add those around on the card, which I think really pops against that gray. And it's so, so pretty. I am in love with this card. And look at all that color and look at all the dimension with the beautiful, lovely layers, peony flowers and the wildflowers. I think this is absolutely stunning. So it's fun to combine those two lovely layers of dies together. Thank you guys so very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this project, and I'll be back soon with another video. Bye.